East Coast Harness Convention 2025 was...
Cool. We're in the dark zone right now.
No.
Oh my. You just broke the... I broke the wrench. Me when my tummy hurts. Yo, what is he doing? Yes, Christmas at Fright Props. Mustang!
Oh my gosh, watch out, there's a car, watch out! Oh my
Boy, if you don't... For what? Too much homework. It's the dark zone!
Interesting. This is the second ever East Coast Harness Convention. Starting last year for the Transworld shows to branch out farther, originally we had Transworld in St. Louis, which is the main big show. Then there's Midwest Harness Convention, which is a lot smaller, but that resides in Illinois. And now we have the growing East Coast here in Philly for the second year. The first year, however, was really popular, not too big with much, yet just little things here and there for the booths to show up to kind of gauge how many people would be, how much popular it would be. It went very well. I did go last year sporting the green hair, and now this year has gotten so much bigger. There are so many larger booths now, and a heck of a lot of animatronics this year. They already have the Christmas show as well, which wasn't too large yet, but I did get to meet Santa Claus and a monkey. So it was pretty awesome for the first year. First, you walk into this decently sized convention building. There was a really cool photo op with a Distortions clown and a Morbid Monstrosities spitting prop. Now, last year's, I'm not gonna lie, it was slightly better. It was a lot larger and just kind of a better photo op in my opinion. This one is still fine, I guess. It's just, decent. It's a photo op in the front. And then you wait at the long line of registration to get your wristband. And then there's more photo op pictures. I took some with Mr. Ethan Cooper here. And then we waited in line for a while, and then we finally get inside, and we are greeted with the Poison Props Pale Girl chair photo op. Wow, another photo op. Who could have guessed?
Party City one's better.
This was Poison Props' first time at East Coast, and they actually brought a decent chunk of animatronics. However, the animatronic choices were, kind of weird. I don't know, it wasn't the best selection. However, I did love seeing Bushman again. I love the Flying Reaper that goes up really, really high. I love the crow with the guy's head. They had an okay booth. Hopefully they just bring more of new stuff next year. Overall, it was crazy of how much they brought. They brought literally 10 animatronics, so hopefully they can bring some more next year and some, I guess, better ones. It was nice to see them there. And then right next to them, we got Fright Props with all of their mechs, their servo stuff where you can kind of play with the skeletons with an Xbox controller with. And then overall, nice seeing them upgrade to from a tiny, tiny booth back then in East Coast last year to where they had basically a couple motors, and now it's almost what they had at Transworld, just a bit, smaller. It's not going to be the same size, but they got the whole entire Fright Pops metal booth. And then right next to them, we got the VFX puppets. Gotta love the one that just shoots out of the box. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. And then their puppets are always so interactive and so cool to see in haunts. Puppets are really just so versatile because unlike an animatronic, it's got the lifelike movements because it's being controlled by an actor, and it's got audio cues. Just overall really cool. I love the clown ones and the little itty bitty ones in the cages. They brought a lot of their stuff and a lot of their puppets, and sometimes they're just walking around randomly, so it's just really cool to see them at any convention center. And then next up, I gotta talk about these new 2 booths that went to East Coast. We got Scream Fitters. It was by far my favorite booth in the entire center. For their first year, they had an insane lineup. The first prop they had over here, which was Cellbound, very reminiscent of a Poison Prop hanger that moves around really realistically, was extremely solid and had a variety of movements for what it was. It seems a bit more of the budget one that they were offering, as the other ones are just kind of insane. He's got the leg twisting movement, he's sporting a straight jacket, and the sculpt was actually sculpted by someone I know that works at Scream Fitters. It's Max. I'm pretty sure his face was literally life casted for that prop, so that's really cool. But overall, a really, really solid and cool first prop. But these next 3 are just insane. We got the next prop, which is Acid Barrel Burn. He was sick. He's basically a scare with how fast he just pops up and starts freaking crashing out. The animation is really fluid. He's got the fog shooting up at the barrel too. It adds for that really cool added effect. The suit and overall appearance is really great, but I just couldn't get over the movement. It was really jolting IRL, as you can see here. Overall, a really awesome prop. Then these next 2 are by far my favorites of their booth, and animatronics overall in the entire freaking show. We got Transfusion, in which he moves very smoothly, almost like he's in a sleeping state as he's getting his blood work done. The blood shoots up behind the chair, and it is very reminiscent of the Distortion's electric chairs or just any of the professional electric chairs. But with him, it's very, very subtle and slow movement instead of the, electrocution. It's his blood getting sucked out of him. It's just so creepy and eerie. It's not crazy bloody or anything, but it's just like an interesting concept, and I think it just works really, really well. Also, he's literally just Rick Toppin from Blood of the Dead, for any of my Zombies fans out there. So, funny little reference there. The face as well, I think, was life casted by another person that also works at Scream Fitters. I think they were actually asleep inside the mold, though. It still looks really cool, though. My second favorite prop by far. And then the final prop Scream Fitters had to offer was Deep Fried. He starts off very tall on this gigantic mech. His legs and body start to move as he goes down into this huge acid crate with fog shooting out. And then after a couple of seconds, he comes back up with his upper half totally burned and messed up. It is an insane effect, and overall, the concept was executed amazingly. I love this so much. His look as well reminds me of something like Shake and Bake from Distortions, or even like Electrified Maniac. The crate as well is gigantic, and at the end, I love when he goes back down for the last time, and you can see him slightly twitching his body and legs, just for that added end effect that he's just dying. He is very expensive though, but for what he is insane, and this is by far my favorite prop of the entire East Coast convention. Good job to the people at Scream Fitters. We need more of this. Please keep making more and try to go to Transworld. Then right next to them, we have another animatronics booth first year, Traumatic Studios, also run by two haunters in the community. We have Shane, Halloween Crazy, and Chris, Halloween Props Forever. They had a variety of props to show off that were really good for their first year, especially Down the Crow. This thing was popping with so many people trying to play the game, in which you have a barrel and a bucket full of pumpkins. You gotta then try hit all of the crows on his arms and his hat to win. A very, very cool and interactive game that would be insanely popular for a haunt or just a display. I'm honestly still considering getting this thing, as it's very, very effective and just like such a popular prop, and I think it would work well. His look as well is pretty good. He's got some really nice quality overalls. The shirt, the mech is also very simple, and when you're done with the game, you can just flip the crows back up. The sculpt of the pumpkin as well is very nicely detailed, and I like the painted look of it. The crows are also very solid as well, and also just one of my favorite props of the entire convention with how interactive he was. He's really cool. By far, Traumatic Studios' best prop. They also have another pumpkin prop that is very nicely detailed. The Jacko Man is really cool as well. Love the overall look of that one. The detail of his body is really cool too, with all the leaves and vines. They also had 3 Wendigo props, an electric Woods Walker that sways around, a static version of the Woods Walker that's cheaper, and an even cheaper version that is kneeling with a cross that is also static. Overall, I love the detail on all these guys, the fur on the clothes, the straw, and the sculpt of the Woods Walker itself is really cool. It's dope to see they have many options on, specifically the Woods Walker. Overall, really, really awesome first booth. Would love to see them at Transworld as well. Next up, animatronic-wise, we got the Never Mortis booth. Loved them at Transworld and loved them at East Coast this year. They make amazing insect props, bugs, spiders, flies, scorpions, you name it. Their stuff is really detailed, and I just love how they have a style of props they just got down and they're good at. It's really cool. They got like these gigantic static spiders, scorpions. There's really, really detailed. They got these really cool beehives with a bunch of bees on them. And speaking of bees, they got a Bee-Man prop where he's screaming, "Bees!" And he's twisting around very violently with all these bees just stinging him. Overall, a very cool concept and cool prop, although Santa Claus wasn't too invested in him.
Bees got me around!
Then they got this really crazy mantis prop with a bloody body that's like picking at his body. All of the legs on the mantis are moving. It's very bloody and gruesomely detailed. It was definitely a highlight at the show for me. I also know someone in the community as well that helps out at Never Mortis. Exifhaunts on Instagram, from what I recall, helps out with welding. So really good job at this booth, and also good job Never Mortis. I love your guys' stuff. It was nice seeing you at East Coast. Next up, we have Beastcraft. They brought all of their new cheaper end animatronics that are actually being sold on Spirit Halloween site right now, which is very interesting. Their stuff is always so detailed and look really cool. However, very expensive, but I'm glad to see these 3 new ones being a bit more budget than some of the other ones that were at, other places like Transworld. The Dead Seed by far was my favorite one. He has a very simple side-to-side movement, but I love the detail on him so much. Very realistic pumpkin head with his roots, chin, and mouth. The clothes got nicely detailed fall leaves on them as well. Very, very good prop. He really reminds me of a professional version of Possessed Pumpkin Patch, but without the jump scare, of course. Definitely my favorite from their East Coast booth. They also got the new Red Death Reaper, which is solid. I really like his sculpt. I'm not a big fan of what's happening at the bottom of his clothes, though. Still really solid. They got the Creeper as well. I really like this one's sculpt. I like how it's a very creepy zombie old man. The teeth also look very nice on him, and I love his pointing movement, kind of just going side to side there. These three are all the same price as well, as they're for like the Econ line, so very nice to see, and they're also just on Spirit site. Beastcraft at East Coast also had a new prop. The gigantic pumpkin they brought was very, very cool. It's literally like, it is gigantic IRL. I love the detail on the pumpkin, and also there's like some skulls at the bottom, which is a nice touch as well. Very cool. It is quite expensive though. They also brought some previous props from the past, like the aged corpses, the skull pikes, the corpse pike, the little pumpkin, the moving wide mouth prop, the pumpkin corpse lantern, and the Hillary Thrasher, which is, it's really creepy. Overall, a pretty solid booth for Beastcraft. Always love their stuff, just a tad bit expensive. They're awesome though. Hopefully they can bring even more next year at East Coast. Next up, there is another animatronic booth at the front called Graveyard Ghoul, in which they also had some very interesting and creative props. They had two puppet props that were cool, one with a puppeteer and a dummy that talk to each other. Then the dummy shoots up and then puts his hand up. Very cool concept. There's not usually too many puppeteer and dummy ones like that, so it was nice seeing that. There was also a really creepy doll puppet one as well. Her arms would move outwards, and then like she lunges forward a bit. I really like the detail on this one with the blood and the overall doll, you know, puppet looking face. Pretty cool. They also had a pro version of the trick-or-treater ghost boy that looked really cool, and they also had a lunging scarecrow from across that was decent, that was really reminiscent of Poison props. And then they have some other ones like a hanging torso prop, a zombie, and a clown with some crazy stuff going on with his mouth, a possessed girl, and a corpse guy in a coffin. Overall, really solid animatronic booth in the front, and I hope to see them bring more next year. The next on the animatronics booth, we got Frankenfab, which is by far one of the loudest booths for some reason. The cannons and the effects on the clown barrels and all of the barrels were so freaking loud. The air cannons with the air blasters were so, oh my gosh, it was so loud. Really cool effect. And they have like pretty much just barrel props, or just props enclosed in something. They have these two really cool alien ones as well, where one is enclosed and the other one is static, but they are both really cool looking. They also have a moving zombie ones, and then the clown one that goes side to side and the head moves. A very, very solid booth that I'm pretty sure we're at Transworld. And as much as they do stuff with barrels, like, they do stuff with barrels with every single prop almost, and like they were just the loudest booth. I don't know why, but they were so loud. You just hear them across the entire center. But very cool stuff. Hope to see them next year. Next up, we have pretty much the biggest disappointment of the entire show, animatronics wise. Mortis costumes. It is technically a professional convention show, so it makes sense that a retail booth isn't up to par with the rest. But Mortis, like, just on their own, it just sucked. There was no new props. All of the ones from last year and the prices were just increased and terrible. Overall, pretty sad. I still did like seeing Sword Swallower though, and I actually don't hate the shaking scarecrow. That was like up close, and I got a good look at it. It's kind of solid. I really don't hate it. But also on top of that, the gargoyle is literally like nearing $500 now, and like looking at that cloth build, just bruh. So due to the tariffs, like all of these props are kind of just gone up a little bit in value for the retail market, so it just kind of sucks. They're basically on what Lowe's is on right now, which is insane. Then the Grave Robber they still have with the body bag movement, he's decent, I guess. Bouncing Clown's fine. They brought Mangy Rat as well. He's a solid 2023 one. And they also picked up the Lowe's Angel, which I thought was interesting. Overall, just like a really big disappointment because it's just all returns and it's just kind of boring, and the prices got worse, so just extremely mid and sad. But to light up the mood a bit, let's go to a really good booth and ran by someone I personally know, Jack from Jacked Up Productions. He brought two new static props that are insanely sick. My favorite one easily from him was his cow static. You never really see a prop use a cow head like this. Usually every time it's something like this, it's a pig. It's always a pig butcher. So it was cool to see Jack put a spin on it doing a cow. It is extremely detailed as well. It's got a really accurate cow head with blood just gushing out of his eyes, the neck, and the back of his head is just completely gone and bloody. Very nice quality outfit as well, and overall, my favorite prop from his booth. And then next we got this really creepy priest with a super detailed gushing creature hand coming out of his mouth. Really sick concept and very, very detailed. The sculpt and design of his face oddly looks a lot like him. Like, this is, he probably just sculpted him and make him look like himself. It's really funny. And then it just looks so realistic, and the detail on his hand was just insane. Very high quality costume as well, and just overall a sick concept and extremely detailed piece. I was very, very impressed with how Jack was able to do this. A very young and upcoming hunter with a lot of talent. He's also got some very awesome masks. Especially love the green alien one coming out of the guy's mouth, the blue yeti, and the other full green alien mask. He was also selling these little silicone homunculus blind bag creatures. I got a purple one. It's very cool little trinkets that you could buy. Overall, one of my favorite booths in the center as well. Good job, Jacked Up Productions, or Jacked Up Builds, or JM Haunts, or just Jack. Good job. Then right next to Jack's booth, we had the Witch Doctor Designs, which had a bunch of cool water-flowing barrel props with blood and skeletons, and one that was a toxic one that had like a fog blaster on it that was a life-size. Overall, just really cool. And then also really close to the booth and Jack's, we had the Morbid Monstrosities booth. The booth was really big this year. They brought a lot. I always love the ones with the water flowing down and it's like going into another prop. They brought the art one that does that, which I do like quite a bit. I'm just not too crazy on the actual look of art though. He looks slightly off. I don't know, I think it's something with his face expression, or maybe he's just a tad bit chubby. It doesn't look awful, it just looks fine other than that. I really love the gimmick of all the water flowing ones though. They also have the infamous clown one, that's probably my favorite that they usually bring at Transworld. And then the insect puker is also probably my favorite one that they've done. Another one of my favorites as well, at least in this booth at East Coast, was the Void one. He literally just, she doesn't have a face at all. Just really creepy, and I like her design a lot. They have the giant queen ones as well. They have the Blood Queen and the Putrid Queen. Really cool. Super tall and imposing IRL. I also really like their pumpkin ones, especially the Oh My Gourd. The one with the splitting face into the pumpkins, and the gourd himself is really nice design. I really like that. They also have, I kid you not, Lord Farquaad. You cannot tell me this isn't just Lord Farquaad from Shrek as a static. It's so funny. And they also got this prop called Trisha, where she's just spitting out like a black hair or just this goo. It's really nasty. I thought it was really nasty. Very cool statics all around from Morbid, and a shockingly large booth from them, which was awesome to see the second year at East Coast. 100% a highlight booth. And then another booth with actually some animatronics. Murder Beach Productions, or slash, you know, Imagine's Halloween Superstore, had some well-known licensed characters I was shocked to see. They had Mario and Luigi, Michael, Art, and they even had a prop from the band Ghost, which I'm pretty sure is one of Papa, I think that's his name, or one of them. I'm not sure which one, but it doesn't look too amazing, but it was interesting to see a ghost prop. Their other statics were a lot cooler on the other side of the booth, like the hospital patient ones, even Mario and Luigi. And they also had some really bloody hanging prop that would move its legs a little bit. It was a solid prop, which also kind of looks like Lord Farquaad again. I don't know what's up with Lord Farquaad. I think by far my favorite thing from this booth though was the clown animatronic. I really like the design of this one. I think it's very creepy, and his legs as well just shake around. Then right next to it, there's a clown who I think could use a better shirt. And then we had Ghost Ride, who Ben will narrate every single prop and explain the booth in much detail.
Me when it's sunny out and I go. Me after a hot summer day. Too much homework. Me when my tummy hurts. That's gotta hurt. Me when I lost my mind.
Ghost Ride is so awesome to see here. They brought a lot more this year. Their props are always so crazy realistic. Maybe a bit too realistic, but just awesome to see here. We have Critter Corners, another booth that I think is their first time at East Coast. They had some really good statics. I love the Wendigo one, and especially the pumpkin. Easily my favorite one they had there. I love the sculpt on it so much. I love that. And they got some other cool ones as well. They got two props with like caterpillars coming out of them. Very cool concept. And they also had a Baphomet one. They also sell gigantic caterpillars as statics as well. Quite literally taking the critter in Critter Corner. Overall, really nice booth. Then there was a Fright Night, which have really realistic statics. Once again, there's so many realistic static booths. They had awesome pumpkins, in which I actually got one. For myself, it legit just looks like a real rotting pumpkin, and they're all foam, so it's really cool. And they have a bunch of cool aquatic stuff, which is probably my favorite. They have mermaids that are sick, extremely detailed. They have hanging octopus tentacles. They have a gigantic realistic looking shark that was awesome, and a shark head that was also really cool. Very realistic looking body statics, lots of burned ones, super bloody ones. But personally, my favorites from their booth has got to be the pumpkins in the aquatic stuff. I love aquatic stuff like that. It's really cool. Dope booth as well, and it was like quite large. Then all the way in the back of the convention center, a bunch of haunted houses had promotional booths for, like, you know, just promoting their haunt, and a bunch of them brought their props they use at a haunt, and a lot of them were from Unit 70, Original Sin, Poison props, and distortions. So that was just very cool to see. More props from booths I technically just couldn't go. The Unit 70 stuff is just so awesome to see because they're always booked up and they can't really go to any of these events like Transworld or East Coast, so it's always such a rare sight to see them. The props they had were insane though. They had like El Diablo, the Frankenstein, the wolf is so creepy and bloody, and one of the booths had Dr. Mandible, which was by far one of my most wanted Unit 70 statics. I think it's so freaking awesome. I love Dr. Mandible. Both the static and the animated one. Really cool. Just seeing the props here was awesome, even if the Unit 70 creator wasn't here. There was also some other company ones, like they had the Poison Props electric chair randomly. The Original Sin violin girl, which looks so realistic. Awesome one from Transworld last year. Their company is like one of the most realistic I think I've seen ever. One of the booths also had a Spasm, a very famous Morbid Industries one, which was so tiny IRL. I was shocked to see how small this thing was. They have the Distortions Goblins were also at one of the booths, which was way bigger than I legit ever anticipated. The head is gigantic. Thank you, Jordu Shell. And then they had the infamous Scooby-Doo crew, which I've always wanted to see IRL. Literally, this was the first thing that got me into Transworld ever. This was the first prop I think I ever saw from a Transworld thing ever, and just got me to start watching the Transworld tours all the way back in like 2018, if I recall. It was just crazy finally seeing them IRL because I thought they were so scary. And then through the entire convention center, there were a lot of other booths with really cool trinkets and stuff. One was selling fudge for some reason, which was really cool, and it was very tasty. For some reason, the T-Mobile booth was there. Thanks for the convention internet, I guess. There was a bunch of mask companies that were awesome. There were actors around the center as well, just super spooky ones going around doing crazy stuff. And there was these crazy gigantic pumpkin statues at this one booth, a lot of more realistic pumpkins at other booths, and just so many cool trinkets and little decor booths for haunts that was cool to see. I'm just gonna throw in a compilation of them. There's so many.
That's pretty good.
And then there was also just a lot of random promotion booths with like not much, just the name of the company, and that was kind of it, just promoting. So, and then there will also be random animatronics that would appear sometimes. Like the booth across Jack had Jack Stalker, Tumbling Clown, and the Circus Wheel from Mortis, which I thought was kind of funny. Their company booth was also here, but another booth is selling their products. Just the concept of that is like really funny. And then for the first time ever, they had the Christmas section in the second year at East Coast. It was kind of dead, but it was just cool seeing that East Coast has already gotten that popular that they could do the Christmas area. There was gigantic trees, a bunch of lighting, a bunch of tinsel stuff, a bunch of Grinch babies at one booth, and then I also met a monkey in the Christmas booth. So thank you for the owners for letting me taking a picture. And then also Halloween Haunt 3 and Ben Hauntastic took their pictures too. Then you could also get a free cookie upon leaving that section, and you could also take a picture with Santa and Miss Claus. I mean, it wasn't too crazy for the first year, but it was just nice seeing that they're starting to do that, and it was just really cool seeing the Christmas area. And then about halfway through the second day, the power just completely cuts out.
It's the dark zone! It's the dark zone!
What the frick is the power just straight up went out.
Scare Factory's here! Scare Factory!
Transworld! We're in the dark zone right now!
And then there was just a bunch, and I mean a bunch of just random East Coast shenanigans that just was happening.
Ballad.
Hopper Halloween release?
After Halloween Ballad release.
Right here?
Mustard!
Sir, this is AI Halloween. You can't use this. Why? Yeah, look at that's clear. You can see, literally AI.
I took golf lessons when I was like 6.
Oh my god. Oh, Chef Curry, LeBron James. LeBron! Oh my. You just broke the
I broke the ring. Look at all these props and animation.
Buddy, this is your booth. It's sunny.
It's so sunny out. Me when it's sunny outside.
Overall, East Coast Hunters 2025 was awesome. For the second year, it's gotten so much bigger than last year. Last year, there wasn't much at all, and Fright Props had like one mech. There was no poison, and so many booths were just infinitely smaller. This year, it got like double the size, and it is almost shockingly close to the feel of the main convention that is the biggest, which is Transworld. It was awesome to go again this year, and the future looks amazingly bright for East Coast.
Okay, everybody watch my finger.
Volcano.